So my name is Edward Morrow, and I'm a certified arborist. I was an accountant. I'm actually a fourth generational farmer. I grew up in forestry, grew up in a tree care family. I went to school. I thought I wanted to be a CPA, and that I slid out of that and I slid into the world of tree care. And it's been one of the best decisions and investments I've ever made. If I would have known about the possibilities, I would have invested in the family business sooner. But if I would have known all the headaches and what I had to go through in this industry, I probably would have never became an arborist, but I'm glad I did. We're going to look at a few key areas. And I think entrepreneurship is, when you look at it, it's just how do we create a system that delivers value to someone else? And you can have a big tree care company, you can have a small one. The main thing is about creating systems, having a systems framework or systems mindset. That's going to really help you because oftentimes we think it's about all the hard work. We think it's about the long hours, but we should always have a system. A system helps us create a sustainable organization, especially if we want to pass it down, if we want to sustain our heritage and generational wealth. So this is the main, like the big picture I want us all to walk away with. So we're going to do this in a very simple fashion. We're going to talk about marketing, which is a very broad concept. It's going to include sales as well, operations and finance. So this is the formula I look at when I'm thinking about a business, any type of business. You have a marketing component, you have an operational component, and then you have a financial component. Another way to look at this is that we have to acquire customers. That's our marketing system. We have to service those clients. That's our operations system. And then our financial results is just a reflection of how well we market, how well we have a good operation system. So we're good at marketing. We have a good operational system. Our financial results will be good. If we have a problem or a leak in marketing or in operations or efficiency, we're going to see poor financial results, and we're going to view those on financial statements. So again, Edward, I do a lot of education, and I'm really going to share with you guys a lot of tactical things you can do, but also this high level thinking we can do as well. I think arborist is one of the most honorable professions, and I think it has to be, if we want to get people into this industry, in these new and challenging times, we have to show people how respectable and how skillful this industry is. This was creating systems that deliver value. So that's the main thing we're going to walk away with. Again, this is our framework we're going to use. Marketing plus operations equals finance. Okay, it's me. And then this is just like from an entrepreneurship standpoint, I went from being a climber, doing a lot of training. That kind of opened up the doors to sales, administration. That opened up a lot of doors to doing TRAQ, tree risk assessments, and neighborhood walks and tree outings. And then that led to the interesting people I met throughout my tenure as an arborist. I love to write. I always loved to write. So I started writing my first story back in 2019. It took me about 4 years to do that, and I enjoyed every bit of it. I like to combine all these things, and you can do it as well. We all have these different skills, and one great book is called Polymath. It shows you how do you take different skills that you have and how you can combine them. And I just take everything from the accounting, the writing, and I just fuse it into the world of tree care, and it's opened up so many opportunities for me. Okay. These are also some of my arborist superheroes. So they're going to join us this evening. I want to make this as engaging as possible. I know it's late in the evening, but these arborist superheroes, which I call tree stars, we're like rock stars, but we're tree stars. That's what we are as arborists. So they're going to join us and teach us some business stuff too. Let's see. A little delay. We're in the tree business. I like to say a tree is one of the best systems. Okay. So when I'm doing a TRAQ assessment, I like to share with homeowners the three main areas of a tree: the base, the stem, and then the canopy. And I like to use this from a business standpoint. I think if we want to build a great organization, we just look at a tree as a model. We have to have a strong base. That's one of the first things I like to look at. And our base is our understanding of leadership, communication, marketing, taxes, understanding sales, all these different things. This forms our base of our business. Next, we want a strong central leader. And This is having focus in our business. We have to know what to say no to, and we have to know what to say yes to. If not, we're going to be pulled in all different directions, and we're not going to have the mental capital to really perform well. And then finally, that makes it easier. Once we have a strong base, once we know ourselves, we're secure with who we are, and we have focus, it's easier for us to form relationships with other tree services providers, other vertical businesses in the green industry. It's easy to build these partnerships, but you have to build yourself first. Make yourself strong first. So think of your business as this tree. Another concept, and these are key concepts that are going to paint the way for us, is the whole thing about money or time. I think successful people and wealthy people, they tend to focus on time. Time is more important than money. If you think money is more important than time, generally you're going to spend a lot of time just trying to save a little bit of money, or you're going to work yourself to death. So just changing the way you look at assets and resources. Okay, if money goes to zero, what do? We go out and work and we get money. But if time goes to zero, that's game over. So time is always, they say, some people say time is money. Some people say time is greater than money. I like to say time is infinity greater than money. So it's like infinity times greater than money. But once you understand that, it's going to help you become a better business person. For example, if you value money over time, if you get $100 job, and we're just using, I just want to paint a concept, we're using real small numbers. You may say, hey, I can do all this by myself. I'll make this $100, but you're using all your resources versus you can figure out how can I can pay, pay some money for this, pay someone to do this, administrative person, I can get a climber, or I can get someone to do this. You may just end up with 15, but what you have less money, but you have more mental capital. So now you can figure out, how can I duplicate this 15? How can I reinvigorate my sales process to come away with 100 in this scenario and have the energy to just scale and build a business? We have to respect time and understand that it's when you start looking at time as more valuable, you're able to just scale and grow a business better as well. So always keep that in mind. Okay. And also with, when you look at wealth, it's not just money. A lot of times we go in business for money, but I went into tree care. I always wanted a job that pushed my mind, body, and spirit to the limit. Obviously, I didn't get that from accounting, but building wealth, that's money. But also the greatest one I think is time. It's also your mental health, your social, your relationships with other people. That'll open up a lot of doors. Your physical health, your purpose. Money can help you get these things, but also money can be a deterrent. You can find yourself working in your business if you don't build proper systems, and now you don't have time for family. You're mentally exhausted. You don't have good relationships, and your health is poor. And you just feel like, what am I doing this for? So think about, when you build a business, you want to have all these kind of assets or levels of wealth. You want to tap into all of those. That's going to make life more fulfilling. Okay, so we got into the mental, so we're gonna jump into marketing. Now, I'm gonna go real tactical in this one. The operations, we're gonna be high level, and finance, we're gonna go a little deep, but we're gonna go real tactical on marketing. Picture of Atlanta. One thing I like about Atlanta is all the trees, but it's so unfortunate as arborists, we don't see the opportunities, and there's so many trees, and we have to keep trees to live on this planet. But it breaks my heart to see arborists that struggle, knowing that we do so much hard work, especially the skilled ones. But there are tremendous opportunities out there, and but you have to have a good marketing system to capture those opportunities. These are what I call the four levels of generating money. You have leads, closing, pricing, and production. If you want to increase revenues, you can increase your leads. You can increase your close rate, closing more jobs, increase your pricing, but also decreasing the energy you put in production, being more efficient. So if you can control those things, or if you feel like, hey, I have a money problem or a money leak in my business, I like to say, okay, are you getting enough leads? Okay, yes, you may be getting enough leads. Are you closing enough sales? Are you pricing jobs? You could be closing a lot of jobs, but not pricing them right. Or you could be pricing jobs, but you're not efficient. So look at, from a high level, if you just use that as a framework, you can see if you have problems, or you can see like where you need to step up in your business to make more sales or make more money. So marketing, to me, and marketing is, so we're going to break down these four areas on the screen. So it starts with marketing leads. So Marketing is just discovering what is valuable to someone else. And finding out what's valuable to someone is just simple. See what their past voids are in their life. What are their present virtues? If someone feels like, hey, I think all trees need a chance, or I love to keep trees, that may be a good client for you as an arborist, because if you have the knowledge and wherewithal to preserve trees, that may be an easier sale. That may be a good relationship just by understanding what their present virtue is. If someone says, hey, I could give a flip about trees, you may not hit it off with that person, and they may not be your ideal client. And then their future visions. So if you keep that in mind, it helps you retailer your marketing, your branding, and also your sales process. It's three primary ways you can get leads. You can build, buy, or borrow. And this is like an older type strategy that's been in the business world for quite some time. But building content, buying ads, or one of the most powerful, I think, is borrowing, building these strategic alliances. Okay. So leads, who for what? So you have hot leads, you have warm leads, you have cold leads. Usually with a warm or hot lead, they know that they have a problem. They may know about your service. You can just go right into the solution. Okay. So we help homeowners increase their property value. That's just a simple value proposition. That may not work for cold traffic. And I think this is good, guys, because even though we have so much technology that would do this stuff, I think it's great that I think you always need to know the basics so you don't get dependent on the technology, or that you can always kind of figure out your own marketing strategy as well. So when you're dealing with cold traffic or a cold ad, you always want to lead someone from pain. And it's a lot of it is human psychology. So if you're crossing the street and I say, hey, I can help you, you're going to be like, hey, get away. But if you fall while crossing the street and I run up to you, you're probably going to let me take your cell phone, and you're probably going to give me your code so I can unlock your phone to call the ambulance. That's what, when we're in pain, we will do anything to get away from that pain. So it's like a psychological thing. So when you're dealing with a lot of cold traffic, you want to introduce the pain. You don't want to feed on fear or anything, but you want to show that you can lead someone from pain when you're dealing with someone that doesn't know that you even exist or that you can help them. So 5 mistakes homeowners make with tree care services. This could be an ad or something, or 5 alternatives to not losing your favorite tree. So when we go to closing, sales is just communicating value in a way that moves a client closer to solving their problem. It's all about them. It's not about you. And think like a doctor or a tree doctor. Doctors, what do? They come in, they set the tone, and then they ask a lot of questions. And then they give an offer. Okay, if you want to live, you take this. If not, okay, I got another client to see. But their sales process can work wonders. And the beauty of it is when you ask questions, that's a way of selling. You're getting to know your client, and you're seeing if you can help them, or if you can't help them, passing them on, or just finding someone that you can help. This is one great video I go to. It's how to master sales consultation by Corby. It's an accounting software, but they have a very good framework. Okay. Feature to benefit. People do not care about features. They like benefits. So this is a good phrase to transition a feature to a benefit. So that you, Mrs. Johnson, we're going to bring a crane to get this tree down so that you don't have to see all the dents in your yard. You'll be surprised. A lot of people don't really care about the high octane climbing and the equipment. 9 times out of 10, they're like, are you going to damage my yard? Or how is that going to look? But if you can always say, we're going to use this service so that you, or so that, or because, that helps. That's an easy way to translate a feature to a benefit. And that's what people care about. Price anchoring. So a client wants to keep their tree. So price anchoring is basically, if you give a price for something, you compare it to something that is more expensive but is of less quality. Okay, so if I know my client wants to keep their tree, I may say, hey, we can do a root collar excavation. That'll be $500. It's a lower price, but it's higher value because it helps retain the tree. Or we can do solution two. We can do a full removal. That'd be $2,500, but you lose the benefits of the tree. Now you have a comparison, because sometimes if you just give a price, it could be $5 to remove a tree. Oh, that's too much money. But if you compare that to something else, it gives them a comparison, and then they can see the value in what you're doing. Okay. And then the game of averages. I like sales because it teaches you a lot about people. So when you hear certain phrases like, oh, you came highly recommended, Edward, or you came highly recommended, John or Jane, that's a high close. There's nothing's 100%, but you have a higher chance. I saw you guys working over on behind McDonald's. That's social proof. So that would be like a mid-level close. They didn't see the whole job. They don't know if you dropped the tree on McDonald's or anything, but they did see you in action. So that could be like a mid-level close. When I hear, hey, what is it? How much does it cost to cut a tree? The first thing off the phone, I know, okay, they value price over value. So this will probably be a low close for me. So just understanding this helps you save time because now you know you can ask the right questions and see, okay, do I even need to go out on the other side of the country to look at this tree for this person? So it helps you conserve energy. Okay. And then pricing, our final. The thing about pricing is I think there's three components. It's the person, the client, the property, and also the production. So where's the person located? What do they really want? The property, the tree, are there any targets? Is the terrain crazy? Is it down in a gorge or something, the tree? And then the production. How technical is the job? How many hours do you expect it'll take? And what type of crew and specialized equipment do you need? So when I'm pricing a job, I keep those in the back of my mind. It's the person, property, production, and I use that to help me close the job. You're always going to have stuff you don't see, or there's always variables in tree work, but this kind of cuts down the variables. And then production, the final one, is becoming more efficient, having a more trained crew, having the right equipment, and also co-oping these strategic partnerships with other businesses or tree companies that can help you become more efficient. Okay, and this is Rogue. Rogue is expert in rigging. And she says, use leverage where you lack in ability. That's a key to wealth. If you don't have the ability, you find leverage. And that's just like rigging. I'm not going to push over 500 pieces of wood. I can set up pulleys to pull it for me. That's rigging, or get a machine to move it. So I always think about how can you leverage relationships, capital, other things to grow. We're going to go into positioning, and positioning is important as from a climbing standpoint. It allows us to get where we need to be in the canopy in a very efficient manner. These are three of my top ways to position: educational partnerships, working with cooperative extension programs in your area, urban forestry programs, coming in as a speaker, sharing your knowledge. That's one way I really got my consulting arm out, just doing a lot of educational outreach. Municipal cross marketing. So this is going deeper into the municipality in your area. So if you sign up for a municipality, let's say you go to Public Works, get to know the people in stormwater management, get to know the people in the water department, the road department, sanitation. You will never know. They may need tree people. And I've had people call me from these sub departments within a municipality. So get to know, embed your business within that municipality in your area, the city or the state. So get to know those different department heads. You never know where you can fit in and provide services. Then I like these location and service gaps. So let's say if you work with a consulting arborist and they get a client that needs tree care work, that's a service gap. That consulting company doesn't do tree work, but you can be a referral partner or a location gap. Hey, do you guys in North Georgia, do you ever get calls outside your area? I kind of service outside of 285. Is there any way when you get these calls, we can do a joint agreement, or we can do like a joint venture or revenue share? That's a way to get out too. So you can fill a gap in location for service or in a service. And this is real good for plant healthcare. If you're doing a lot of consulting and you want to partner with services that do plant healthcare, air spade work, or fertilization or anything, this is a good way to build partnerships and just expand your reach in your area. I do a lot of direct outreach. So if I was just searching for golf courses one time and I was just like, hey, do you guys ever need a certified arborist? And I just made calls, and it's hit or miss, but you can call municipalities. You can just do a Google search on these different things and just pitch your services to them. And it's something that if you have an office, if you have an administrative staff or someone manning your office, this is a task you can delegate to them to help with brand awareness and generating business. This is more so like a long-term strategy. Okay, we're going to jump into operations. And I think with tree care, we always want that killer team. We want that just skilled special ops type team. And we're in an environment now where it's a different world. We don't have a lot of people coming off the farms like back in the day that have that know-how. So how do we like perform? How do we remain on the cutting edge from an operational standpoint? This is I know we have different size businesses, and if you're a big business, congratulations. If you're just starting, congratulations as well. From a capital investment standpoint, we have a consulting arborist, we have the contract climber, the external tree service. This is a service where, let's say they do the cleanup, but they outsource the heavy cleanup to like a grapple truck or the stump grinding. The internal or the full service tree company, they're gonna knock out everything. They got the stump grinders, the skid steers, the chippers, the grapple trucks. They're not gonna really be outsourcing stuff. If you want to grow a company, think about, usually the capital investment is going to increase. So just keep that in mind depending on what stage you are. We're in this stage right now. We used to do a lot of contract climbing, a little bit, not as much, and we do a lot of consulting. But you can be an internal, a full service company, and have a great consulting arm, which I really recommend, especially if you're going to offer PHC, plant healthcare services. And this is Wolf. Wolf is a long contract climber. You know what to do, cut it. So in organizations, you're going to have to cut stuff. You cut fear. I think you cut weakness. You cut. This is a time where you should be grabbing the bull by the horns. I really believe it. It's so much opportunity out here, but there's a lot of fear out here too. But this is the time where you go in, like with your business. It's so much opportunity out here, but you have to have the mental capital. So what Wolf is saying, you want to cut or eliminate, automate, or delegate. Eliminate anything that brings you stress. Automate with technology and delegate with team members. And I like to go through this model because it's easy to eliminate something like a bad habit. If I get up late, I can eliminate that and say, hey, let me go to sleep early so I can get up at 5. I can go run and I'm rested when I go to the office. Automating something is using technology. And then delegating, we know, hey, we're going to have to hire somebody that's payroll, that can be workers' comp, insurance. That's just additional costs. But hey, it's a time where we need to delegate and add to our team. So I like to start with eliminating tasks and things that stress me out, using technology to automate, and then going to the delegation stage. This is when I used to be a general manager at Robins Air Force Base for a large national landscaping company. And we did tree care, we did mowing, and we also did spraying. And that blue area is the airfield. And we had to mow. It was crazy. That was a crazy job. It was so much grass. I never seen that much grass cut in my life. But I'm a person, I like to make stuff up. I like to organize. And making money, I think, is more so about having systems and being organized. So these were all our services throughout the year. The months are at the top from January to December, the different areas, and just the different services. So that's my creative side. I like to just see stuff. I used to this was all our staff, and I used to build teams in the morning and say, hey, you're going to go to the airfield, you're going to go over here. This tree cutters are going to go over here. And that's cool. But you also want to use technology as well. So QuickBooks, this is for bookkeeping, creating financial statements, what you're going to need for tax filing, and understanding where you're going. Fast fill forms this is cool, especially if you're doing consulting. You can do I create a form where I can do my reports in the field or in my truck after I meet with somebody. So I don't have to go all the way to the computer and forget everything I talked about. And then Monday.com is a project management software. And then you have Single Ops. They're a green industry software. So they're more specific and tailored to the skill trades industry, the green industry. And you can do invoicing, you can do the mobile forms and just different stuff with that. So these are just some forms of technology that you may want to implement to build efficiency and kind of streamline your operations. Okay, team, what do they want? So some people want stability. Some people want to really advance. They want to make some money. Some people just want the camaraderie. But I think it's good to understand what your team, what your people really want, and to create an experience for them with your tree care company. And this isn't to just cater to everyone's needs. I use a lot of tough love. I'm like, hey, I know you, like when I used to talk to employees, hey, I know we have an issue. Get your head right. You're one of our lead climbers. We'll talk it out. But hey, at the end of the day, we got a job to do. We have to make money. You have to make money for your family. This is my job to make sure that we're making money. So you have to have that tough love too, but you have to understand your people and show some care. I think keeping the energy up with a crew, building that camaraderie, that's what I really like. I like being able to go into a meeting and say, hey guys, there's a training coming up. If you guys want to learn this, if you guys want to get a CDL, if you guys want to learn how to spray, if you guys want to learn how to climb or do something else, hey, there's opportunities out here for you. Keeping the energy up I think, is key. And it helps reduce accidents. And we know that can be a drain on morality and also money as well. and that's Titan. He's a groundie. We're going to talk about entities, and it's two reasons why you have legal entities: asset protection and tax strategy. Those are the two reasons why you form either an LLC or an S-corp or a C-corp. These different entities are very important, and it's good. This may relate to some of our more advanced businesses. You don't want to stay stagnant. You always want to look at what your entity is and how it affects you from a tax standpoint, but also a legal standpoint. It's a balancing act. So you want the entity that gives you the most legal protection, but also helps you from a tax standpoint. You guys may be asking, what do you mean from a tax standpoint? So if you're an LLC, and I'm not an attorney, but I'm giving you I'm giving you the framework from an accounting standpoint. So an LLC is a pass-through entity. So let's say you make $100. That $100 is going to pass through to your personal tax return. You're also going to pay self-employment taxes on that. If you're an S corp, it's also a pass-through entity, but you must take a salary. And that's cool because now the salary can reduce your taxable income, and then you don't have to pay self-employment taxes because you're an employee now. As you start to make more money, you may want to say, hey, I may want to become an S corp because I can save on taxes. As you start making a lot of more money, you may want to convert to a C corp because now a C corp it's a separate entity. You get to take out a salary, but also it's taxed at a lower rate. It's around 21% as of now. But a corporation is good as you make more money because it doesn't flow to your personal tax return where you're taxed. You can retain that money in the corporation, and you can find ways to reinvest that money to grow the business. So generally speaking, as you make more money, you may want to change your entity. Now, depending on what you're doing, your situation, this is where you want to sit with an attorney and a good accountant. It may behoove you to be an S corp. It may be better to be an LLC. You just have to run the numbers and see what really makes sense. And everyone's situation is different, and your goals are different for your business, even from an estate planning standpoint. So this is just something I want you to walk away with. Hey, we want to incorporate. We definitely want to do that. We want to protect our assets, our business, but also we want to check on, hey, do I need to convert to an S corp now? Later, do I need to just start as a C corp? These are some good questions to bounce off of an attorney. Go ahead and retain that expert counsel so you can make an educated decision. And those are some good resources, Harbor Compliance and Bench.co. They have some good examples where they show you some numbers and how taxes are affected. Okay. This is irs.gov. They do have some good resources to help you learn about business entities. And also you can learn about which forms do you need to file. So this is a corporation or C Corp. You're going to have to file 1120 and just the forms for employment taxes as well. This is Ghost. Ghost is his climbing style is Maverick, and Ghost is a type of I researched it about 10 years ago. A ghost climbing is where you can move through the canopy kind of freely, and it's a real cool climbing technique and system. So build an amazing team of administrative and industrial professionals. Just don't have the best climbers, just don't have the best office staff, sales arborists, schedulers. Build a team because they all work together. Think about making the best or having the best system to train and develop people in different roles in your company. Okay. Then from an administrative standpoint, we start with the bookkeeper, which is hands-on, the CFO, which is more strategic. So you may be at the level where you have a CFO that could be outsourced or you hire them. And from a tax standpoint, we have a tax preparer. We have a tax strategist. They're going to help you kind of year round with tax planning, and that's cool. And then you have your tax attorney. They may know a little more about legal entities. These are different administrative positions from an accounting and from a tax standpoint. Okay, we're going to finish up with finance, guys. And this is about accounting. We're going to learn about financial statements, and don't dread it. It's going to be real easy and interactive. Housekeeping rules with accounting: separate business from personal. Obviously, it's going to allow you to see the business transactions better. It's going to allow you to track your tax expenses and deductions better when you have a separate account. Organize. So have a way for paper filing and also electronic records, electronic filing. I like to keep a clean desk if I can. I do see a difference when my desk is clean, when I get stuff out of it or off of it. I can just think like very clearly, and it gets back dirty, but I try to clean it a lot. And then integrate a bookkeeping software or like a CRM, a client or customer relationship management software. This is going to help you get the numbers you need quicker. Okay. We're going to finish up with our financial statements. We have a balance sheet, cash flow, and an income statement. A lot of times we just focus on that income statement. It's our revenue minus expenses to give us a profit. And the bad thing about that's like just using a rope for rigging, but you don't pair it with a block and a porter wrap. If you pair it with other hardware, it's gonna give you more leverage. It's gonna give you more insight. It's gonna give you more ability. And financial statements work like that too. So we have to read them all together. The balance sheet is just assets, things that we own. That's our cash, accounts receivables, equipment, land, buildings, minus liabilities, debt, accounts payable. That's money we owe the people, mortgages, credit cards, loans. Assets minus liabilities will give us equity. Equity is just a fancy word for net worth. Then our income statement, also called a P&L or profit and loss, revenue, sales, income all mean the same thing. Revenue minus our expenses will give us a profit. So sometimes if we just look at our income statement, we may have a profit, but then when we look at our balance sheet, we look at the cash amount, our bank account, aka our bank account on our asset section of our balance sheet, it may be like real low. And that's why the cash flow statement is very important. It's one of the most important statements to have in your disposal. So I'm going to show you from a high level view how to really read a statement. If you look at it, we have 3 accounts and then we have 3 sub accounts. I'm sorry, we have 3 statements and then we have 3 accounts in each statement. So if we think about the canopy of the tree, the top level, we want to make sure our assets are growing higher than our liabilities, and that keeps our equity high. Revenue, we have that kind of infinity circle. We want to continue to generate and create systems that always bring us money. And to do that, we have to create value for other people. The more problems you solve for other people, it's impossible for you not to generate wealth or sales. It's all about other people. So generate systems that bring value to other people, many systems that run on autopilot if you can, and that will help fuel revenue. And then our cash flow statement. We want the majority of our cash generated from operating activities. So we're going to go a little deep in here. Operating activities is cash generated from your core business. So if we're in the tree care business, if we remove trees, our core business would be sales from cutting down trees or pruning. Cash generated from investing means that we're selling off long-term assets out of the business. And then cash from financing means that we're generating money from a bank or we're putting personal money into our business. So this is very important, guys, because if you look at a cash flow statement, I want more cash generated from operations. If I have more cash generated from investing, that means I'm selling off my equipment. And if you're selling off your assets, that can be backwards because you invest in assets or buy assets to generate operating cash flow. So if you have a lot of cash coming out of investing activities, that means that, hey, there's something going on in our operations. And then financing cash flow. This is money generated from a bank. This may be high when we're starting a business or when we need additional funding, or it's cheaper to use the bank's money than our money, but we don't want to have the majority of our money generated or cash generated from financing activities. We want most of it coming from operations. Okay. Let's see, key performance indicators, KPIs, that you can't get these from your financial statements. You have to use a software to do this, or you can do this manually. But monthly recurring revenue, so repeat clients or repeat contracts, your client customer mix. Do you just have all residential? Are you like 90% residential, 10% commercial? Or do you have a nice blend of commercial, governmental, residential, utility type jobs? Gross margin is just the difference between your sales and your direct labor costs. Okay. And then accidents. I think this is something cool because if you have accidents, this can cost money. This can cause a decreased morale, but you can lose a lot of time production as well. So we want to check, we want to be safe, and we want to check and make sure we're not having a lot of accidents. And then from an advanced tax strategy and planning level, depreciation is very important because we're using a lot of fixed equipment, a lot of high price equipment. So we want to make sure we're getting the right tax benefits from those. Travel expenses. We don't do virtual tree cutting, so we do a lot of traveling. We want to make sure we're tracking that right. And then accountability reimbursement policies. This is real big for a smaller business because you may be paying a lot of stuff out with personal cash, you want to be able to track it on the business. So you want to check or create a reimbursement policy so the business pays you, and now it's recorded on the business books so you don't miss the tax deduction. IRS publication 535 has a lot of information about different tax deductions, real easy read. And then investing. So as you build your business up and you have that mental capital, you can find other businesses to start up, other businesses to acquire. I like those boring type of businesses like landscaping, stuff that's going to be around, recycling businesses, trash removal. Those little, they may not bring a lot, but they can depending on your business acumen. But those are like sustainable, scalable businesses. Once you build, and your tree service, it may not be your thing. It may be a thing to funnel and fund other things. But it's a great business model to have tree care. You can fund other investments. And then if you want to get into some high level stuff, you may want to set up like a family foundation, a private foundation. That's a way, it's like a nonprofit. And you can, it's something kept within your family. You can hire your family members. That's definitely an advanced strategy that you would want to pull, retain counsel, attorneys, and definitely CPAs to pull that off. These are just some ideas. And then Edge. Edge is the leader of the Tree Stars investment to grow, let it flow. And just like money, just like that time, if you think money is more valuable than time, you're not going to really flow money. You're not going to really want to spread the money around. But when you understand time is more important, it's nothing for me to say, hey, I will invest in this class to grow, or I will create these different jobs. So now I give other people money, but also it helps everyone stay in their lane and build a business. Okay. We're going to finish up, guys. These are 7. This is my, I like to look into the future. And I think the future is important because it helps us stay abreast of what's going on. But I think with the culture of inactivity, a lot of laziness, that's going to create a premium in skilled labor rates. And also, if not, it's going to increase your market share. Because if there are not people in these different areas that continue to have the skill trade of tree work, it's just going to open up more market share, even if the work is not as high price. So that could be a way to grow as well. And these are just my little theories. Increasing value of preventative tree care services. We're going into everyone is very planet conscious. So just having a repertoire of plant healthcare services, I think, is vital. It's going to be great for your business. Having a turnkey training system and building strategic alliances if you don't have a good staff or you have a good training system. Because as I alluded to before, you don't have people growing up on the farms like that. So a lot of those skills that we bring into tree care, they're going to fade away. So training is going to be very important. So think about how can you safely and quickly train someone to provide value. But also, if not, building those partnerships with other reputable services can help you grow. Capital investments to combat labor shortages. So just making sure that you have access to capital to invest in the tools of the trade and to reemploy these assets. So if you have a skid steer, we know we can use that in construction. We can use that in home improvement. We can use it in tree care. So finding other ways to reemploy an asset to generate revenue. And then an increase in governmental and commercial clientele or customer bases. And this is just me. I meet a lot of young folks that have never had a job and they're like 25 and 30. I don't think a lot of these people are going to be owning homes and they're not going to have certain skill sets. It may just be an increase in governmental work, commercial work that may just tick up over time. So get used to building these relationships and having a sales process or marketing process to get in front of these governmental agencies in your area and also commercial entities. Like I said, this is not going to happen overnight, but this could be just offload some of your business into these 2 different markets as well. And this is good if you're going to sell a business too. It shows that, hey, I just don't have a residential market. I have a utility market. I have these different market buckets of client types. Okay. So thank you guys. I know we went over a lot and I wanted to make this kind of hands-on and tactical, but I just want to thank Georgia Arborist Association for having me back. It's always a pleasure to share, and because we don't have a lot of business stuff geared toward arborists, and I just want to make some stuff, cool stuff, easy to learn stuff, and just share my experiences. Is just help out. So thank y'all for coming this evening.
Oh, Edward, thank you. You have got, let me make sure I'm not muted yet. I'm going to be sure to share with you all the comments happening in the chat. Folks have really enjoyed it. You've got a lot of good knowledge to share and very well-rounded experience. So I'll be sure to export that and share it with you as well. Don't anybody run off. We do have some questions to be answered, and we'll get started on those. I'm also going to go ahead and let you guys know. I'm going to drop in the chat the form I was talking about. It's actually using Monday.com, Edward. That's what keeps my CEUs and all of my feedback organized. So click that, fill that out, and then I will also be sending out or dropping in the chat and sending out with the recording this awesome workbook that is free to you from Edward as an amazing gift. So thank you. I'll drop that here in the chat in just a minute while Edward's answering questions. And then again, I'll also attach it when I send out the recording. So let's go ahead and dig into your questions. Let's see here. The first one is, and some of these you may have answered throughout. I tried to mark them as complete if I was sure they were answered. So first, Kyle wants to know, what are some of the best ways to drum up business if you're just starting out? Best ways to get your name out to prospects?
Okay. So you can do several. I think using that model, the building content, that takes time. And I'll say that with the grain of salt because now you can use technology to build content very quickly. So that kind of shatters that method. I like to use direct response ads. And if you study Dan Kennedy or Frank Kern, these are not just brand building ads. These are ads that prompt someone to take action, like to give you a call or to schedule a consultation. So since our market is moving toward people are moving toward these online mediums, doing like cheap, inexpensive ads to get your company out there with a good call to action that prompts them to give you a call, learn about trees, book a free assessment just to get you out there is good. I think also that the building the strategic partnership. So if you can find, and I know it can be hard in some markets, but if you can find a good tree service, I've been fortunate to run across some real good ones where we could tag team on jobs. That could be a way to really grow too, because now you tap into their market and then they can tap into your market when you need someone with the ads, direct outreach. So these are kind of brass tacks type stuff you can do. Direct outreach, calling cooperative extension programs in your area. Hello, my name is John Doe. I'm an arborist. I want to learn. I want to see if do you guys have any arborists, or do you? How do I become a vendor? You can just ask something like that, and usually they'll say, "Hey, people do call about arborist questions. We can put you on the list." That can be a way to get into the market and get your name out. The biggest thing is getting that name. I think once I built the reputation as a skilled rigger and rope worker, that really opened up a lot of doors for me because a lot of the services in my area they did not do a lot of climbing. They do, and they're great services, but they do a lot of machine work, bucket truck. So once that got out, oh my God, there's this guy, he climbs, he uses these ropes, and he got this limb over my home. That's going to really spread like wildfire. Doing inexpensive ads and tracking the return on investment. You just don't want to shoot out an ad or throw out money and not track the return on investment. Doing ads, direct outreach, calling people that would need arborists or have trees. These could be HOAs, housing authorities, property management companies, or your local municipality, and also finding good tree services in the area that may need some contract help. I would just combine that and layer that to get a lot of reach out. So,
Thank you so much. All right, let's see here. We're going to move on to Rachel. She wants to know, how long do we need to keep notes, tree care prescriptions, receipts, payments, and other records for income tax or legal purposes?
okay. If I know that IRS publication 535, it does have the actual like requirements for receipts. I know receipts is like 3 to 4 years, pretty much. I like to keep stuff for 7 years, like lucky seven. So seven, even up to 10 years, it just I know to me it's like a good number seven or like 10 years a decade. But legally, from the IRS standpoint, it's about 3 to 4 years, I want to say, with like employee records, receipts. I go overkill. I just like the 7 year, but you can always just scan it in. And even if you don't want to keep all the paper, you always have that electronic document. And what you can do if you want to use Google Drive or like your CRM or an external hard drive, just like when you're climbing, you want to back up your climbing system. You want to back up that that your documents as well. So I wouldn't just save everything on Google. I have an external hard drive and vice versa. So you can do about the 3 to 4 year period, but 7 to 10 wouldn't hurt, especially if you're scanning everything in and you don't have the paper.
Awesome. Thank you. And guys, y'all are really throwing a whole lot in there. So I'm going to do my best to get to all of them. And Edward, we can cut it off at 7:30, or if you want to take a few more, you just let me know.
We can do
Um,
some more.
okay, good. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
we still got some time. Jay wants to know best cost method to use, activity-based costing, job-based costing, etc. What's your recommendation?
Oh, it's like a unisender and a rope wrench. It's what you feel comfortable with, but I think the activity costing, it does take a little more. I haven't really used those systems. I've used more job costing. It's a little simpler for me. Activity costing, I want to say you have to put more time into the equation to figure that out. Could I do this, Brittany? Could I send some stuff on job costing
Hmm.
and job, okay, and
Yeah.
activity based? I can, if you like me, there's a good article that QuickBooks did a while back, and it was specific to tree companies. They talk about the different activity and the job costing. I've done a more so job costing. It was just simpler for me. Activity based, it was like you had to put more time into it. So you have to have a good time tracking system. I think that's easier for a bigger company, but I can send that article to you, Brittany. Is there a way you can send it out post?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
just shoot it to me in an email and I'll include it in the email with the recording and the workbook. So yeah, shoot that to me. I'll get it out to everybody.
Okay. But JJ, I would say probably the job costing would probably be easier, but still give you the information you need without information overload.
Thank you so much. Brian wants to know, are the LLC and S-corp mutually exclusive? Are there instances where both can be used?
Okay. So that's a good question. Now, an LLC is, it can be taxed. So a LLC can elect to be taxed. So if you don't file, I forgot the form. It's a form where you can file with the IRS to be taxed as an S corp. That IRS is going to just look at you as what they call a disregarded entity. So you're just going to use like a Schedule C. So you can elect to be an LLC. You can be an LLC with the state, and then you can go to the IRS and say, "Hey, I want to be taxed as an S corp," or you can just form an S corp on the state level, and then that takes care of it on the the tax level. But they're pretty easy to set up. The biggest thing is that really with the LLC and S corp, the reason why you may want to change, and I'm gonna go a little deep on this one, Brian, but bear with me. the I like entities; they're cool. So the LLC, everything is going to flow to you personally, just like with an S corp. But with an S corp, you have to you become an employee, so you have to take out a salary. So you want to make sure that you're profitable and that you're pulling enough revenue in to pay a reasonable salary. And that's dependent on what you're doing in your business, how big your business is, how much revenue you're bringing in. If you do the S corp route, you want to make sure you're pulling in enough revenue so you can pay yourself at least a consistent salary as well. So the IRS, they really look at that. Yeah, where you can use, I think the S corp is better for professional service businesses, but let's say if you're holding real estate or you're holding some type of tangible property, the LLC may be a better fit for that. And it deals something with a built-in tax gain, and that gets real technical. That's straight CPA land, right there. But yeah, you can use them both. Like I would either start with an LLC and kind of move up to the S corp as revenue increases, and usually the magic number is a profit around like 70K. As you get closer to like 100K, you may want to, in profit or taxable income, you may want to start looking at converting to an S corp. But you can own both entities if that makes sense for different type of asset purposes.
Thank you. And I will say Carrie is here in the chat. She's a CPA, so she's dropping some backup information and
Oh,
links
cool.
to government websites for you guys. This may also help out another person asking questions similar. So John wants to know, are there tips for forming an LLC, which you may have already answered that part, but what are the costs for that?
I want to say LLC now. I know in Georgia, it's about 100 to set up, and then you pay about $50 per year around March 31st. Upfront cost is about 100, and then you about 50 per year. if my memory serves me right. That's it. It's really easy to start up. One thing with an LLC, especially as you build out your business, you do want to have an operating agreement that's, even if you're a single member LLC, you want to treat it as a separate entity, meaning you do want to open up a separate bank account. You want to buy things in the name of the business. You want to get credit cards in the name of the business. That is what we call protecting like the corporate veil. And that's because you can have an LLC, but if you don't do the things to separate yourself from it, you can jeopardize your liability protection. But no, it's basically if you go to what Georgia would be the Secretary of State, you go to the business or licensing division and you can fill it out online. So it's a pretty simple process. And they'll send you a notification when the renewal is due and you can just pay it online, you know.
Awesome. Thank you. Warren wants to know, do you create your own artwork or use any AI tools for generating illustrations? That style could be used as a great educational tool to convey certain concepts that are hard to capture in the field. He said, very well done.
Right. And I'm gonna give a shout out to Warren. I met Warren at a Georgia Arborist Association. He does has a nonprofit that helps with storm removal work. Great friend. He joined us on the job one day at a forest trail, and that was real cool about a year ago. But no, I actually use animators. So I use a site called ArtStation, and I go and I find you can find portfolios of a lot of artists that work for Marvel, different movies, video games. I wanted to be an animator and I really respect hand-drawn animation anime. So I wanted to use a person. I wanted to talk to a person. And it can be hard sometimes because sometimes I had one guy I had to get rid of him, but he was drawing the chainsaw crazy. He had a rear handle chainsaw and he was holding it. I was like, you don't hold it like that. But he kept drawing it like that. And he wouldn't listen to me. I was like, no, or this is how you hold a top handle saw. But it can be frustrating. But I have about three different animators I use, either that work with anime, comic art, or I found a new guy too that he does some freelance work with Marvel. So yeah, I just like because you can talk to them and stuff and kind of I don't know. I just like that human element. But a lot of people they say that's AI, the chainsaw with the fire. No, it was really like sword in the stone. I really like that. And I thought that was cool with the chainsaw. But these are all different storylines as well. So I work on those are book covers and I work on one book a year. So that's like my little hobby project, and I love it. Like I said, the first book took 4 years, but that's because I was wore out and I didn't have systems in place. But no, I definitely want to use that to help people appreciate tree care and see it's a valuable and a very multifaceted industry. But thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's see here. Brian wants to know, what's a good way to pivot a company that's doing 90% residential work to one that has a more even split between residential and government commercial work?
I would go if you want to get a footprint. I would probably start with the commercial, governmental first. And the reason being is because there's not as a lot, they can't really retain or hold or keep skilled labor. So I would probably go to different municipalities, go to like their procurement offices or whoever does the vendor setup. And I would just talk with them and say, "Hey, I'm a arborist. I would like to become a vendor for your municipality." And that's pretty much all I say. And they just give me the paperwork and I put it in. So I would just try to find surrounding counties because you don't want to go out too far. I would find surrounding municipalities, counties, and cities, and I would just pitch and just that's all you really have to say. I have a tree service. I would like to be a vendor. I would go that route. The utility market and the commercial market, I can't those are hit or miss with me. I got more commercial work just being in accounting and, like, working with different businesses, and then they found out, like, I was doing tree work, and then I had a relationship with those businesses I worked with and did accounting for. That's how the commercial kinda picked up, but it's real hit or miss. Utility is like, I probably get 1 utility every blue moon, and sometimes it's like cutting trees around, like, utility like the cell towers and stuff. But the municipal is the easier one for me. I guess if anyone could chime in about the commercial, that's been my experiences. I would just do direct outreach and go to them. Because another thing you can think about too is that a lot of people are not really active when it comes to marketing. So just by you going out and talking to these different municipal entities, is bound to open doors for you because a lot of people are probably not doing it in your area.
Awesome. All right. So how are you doing on time, Edward? It is now 7:31. Of course, anybody needing to drop off, you've already got your CEU sign-in sheet. You're welcome to, but you do have 12 questions still in the Q&A. Any further ones coming in after the last one, we'll have to push off, but do you want to answer a couple of more?
We can do two more.
Do more. All right, let's see what we got here. Do you have any insights into how to value tree care companies? This is also from Brian. Should we be basing it on multiples of EBITDA or SDE? Larger companies are currently buying up smaller local businesses at a multiple of 5 times, 7 times. Should the smaller guys do the same?
That's a good one. That may be out of my wheelhouse, Brian, but I think if you base it out off of EBITDA, that's not a bad thing. What it does, it puts you in the mind of a bigger company, and let's say if you want to sell your company, it puts you in that like investor mind frame. So you say a larger company currently buying a smaller local guy. I don't think it's a bad idea, even if you're buying up if you're buying up a company or at least partnering, having those strong relationships. I think that may be just as good. But no, that's a good one. That's something. Hmm, that's a
Um,
good
I'll let
question.
I'll let you guys know. We do have someone who has handled a lot of acquisitions within our industry doing our talk at our annual awards banquet at Amicalola Falls in January. So if that's something you're particularly interested in, you can meet and talk to him as well. Brian, you must be from out of state. It is not intended to be live streamed, but I'll look at that as an option. We will do our best. It's usually pretty hard for me to do the event and that, but we'll see how we can do it. All right, Brian? All right, we got one more question. Let's see here. Da, 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 da. There's several insurance questions, guys. We do have a recording of our insurance talk about in September that if y'all shoot me an email, I can share that with you. It's in our members only portal. Here's a good one. Bramall wants to know, as far as larger equipment for your business, do you have any recommended purchases first? So the bucket truck, chipper, etc.
But if I could go back in time, I would definitely do a smaller non-CDL bucket truck. One of the first trucks we got, it was a beast. It is a beast. It's like a 75-footer B class, 30-foot truck, but it will get the job done. But you spend so much time trying to get it on the to the job and in the right spot on the job. Whereas if I would have just started with a smaller truck and a chipper combo, I would have probably just did that. We do a lot of scoop and run in my area. That's so basically with a grapple truck or just bobcat dump truck. But I think definitely the bucket truck, smaller bucket truck. Also, I like the Toro skid steers, the stand behind, especially if you're doing a lot of lake work on the lake or in tight quarters. Very good investment. It's going to do wonders on the yard. It's going to low impact, but it's strong. It's very powerful, and it sometimes it gives you the leverage you need. Definitely a skid steer for bigger jobs. But I would definitely start with that truck because even if you think about the change in labor, you can do so much with a truck to save your climbers. And also, if I see the skill set of climbing like declining, but if you have that truck, even as you get older, if you think about longevity in this game, you can do a lot with a small truck. You can do a lot of pruning. You can take down a lot of big trees. So I would start with the bucket truck, a small skid steer, and the small like walk behind. Those would probably be like from my first ones. And then a good dump trailer, or if need be.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. So that is the last of the questions we have time for tonight. Edward, do you have any other speaking engagements coming up that anybody could attend? If you want to just tell them that, just in case they have any other questions, want to see you again.
We're gonna have the Green and Growing Conference. It's in North Carolina. I think it's that second week of January. And we're gonna do, if anybody's from Utah, we're gonna go to the Utah Landscaping and Nursery, and we're gonna talk about it's gonna be accounting. So we're gonna go deeper in accounting, but we're also gonna talk about soft skills And so basically those interpersonal skills, how you can use it from a sales standpoint, but also motivating your crew, motivating yourself, getting through tough times and stuff, those type of mental skills. And also building a consulting arm for your company, how to go into consulting. And we use the same framework of marketing, operations, and then the financial component. So those will both be the second week of January. If I'm not, I probably need to look because that's around the corner, but I think the second week of January.
Thank you so much,
Mhm.
Edward. Let's see here. Let me go ahead and take back control. First of all, thank you, Edward, for sharing such good knowledge. You did such a good job
Thank
of
you.
sharing. You're just such a good speaker, so I really appreciate it. All of you who we didn't get to your questions, I'm so sorry, but we are out of time. And I'm going to stick around for just a minute to see if anybody has any questions on the CEU sign-in sheet. Of course, any feedback you give me, I'm going to be sharing that with Edward, so feel free to drop those comments in the evaluation. Edward, you'll want to fill that out too, just for your CEUs. So grab that. And I'll also share with you an export of the chat. Somebody says they want you at the Atlantic City next year. Oh, at Atlantic City for the Garden State Tree Conference next year.
Oh,
So Brian, talk to your folks there and have them reach out to Edward. All right, everybody. First of all, thank you so much, Edward. We really appreciate it. We appreciate all of you joining us, and have a great night. We hope to see you again soon.
okay. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Georgia Arborist Association. And thank you, Texas. Thank you all for coming to Georgia virtually. And I appreciate the questions. Hopefully I was able to answer those. And I will have the documents to give to you, Brittany, to share with everybody. But thank you all so much and hang in there. Keep climbing, as I tell people in this industry. And pass it on to kids and stuff, your family. It's a great industry, great skill to have. Just good work. You meet good people. Y'all just stay in there.
Thank you, Edward.
Uh,
We'll see you next time, okay?
all right. You too, Brittany. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye.